Welcome back to the channel. Today's topic is the 3 creepiest places on Earth that you probably didn't know about. Hope you enjoy the video. Coldhara, located 17 kilometers west of Jaisalmer, has a tale to tell. It was a flourishing village of Paliwal Brahmins in the state of Jaisalmer 300 years ago. It was left behind in the early 19th century for unknown reasons, such as a lack of water, an earthquake, or, according to local legend, Salim Singh, the minister of the Jaisalmer state, who did horrible things. The majority of the village's wells had dried up by 1815. Only the step well and 2 other deep wells were still operational in 1850. The only water present when the authorities examined the village in the 1990s was the stagnant water in some areas of the dried-up river bed. Without a corresponding reduction in Jaisalmer state's tax obligations, the declining water supply would have significantly decreased agricultural productivity. The Paliwals could have had to leave Coldhara as a result of this. The Rajasthani government decided to turn Coldhara into a tourist destination in the 2010s after it developed a reputation as a haunted location over time. Legend has it that Salim Singh, the state's powerful and corrupt prime minister, had his evil eyes on the village head's daughter and wanted to marry her forcefully. He warned the village of grave consequences if they did not agree with his request. Instead of doing what the tyrant told them, the Paliwals put together a council, and the people of 85 villages left their homes. But that wasn't all. Before they left, they cursed Coldhara, saying that no one would ever be allowed to settle in their village again. The settlement remains deserted and nearly unchanged from how its residents left it centuries ago. It is also claimed that some who attempted to spend the night there were frightened away by the weird paranormal phenomenon. Another likely reason is that Salim Singh raised taxes so much that the people in the village decided to leave in search of better places to live. While the locals do not believe in ghosts, they spread legends about them to draw tourists. Gaurav Tiwari of the Indian Paranormal Society claimed to have seen phantom activity at the location in the early 2010s. The society's 18-person crew and 12 others spent the night in the community. They claim to have witnessed moving shadows, heard eerie voices, heard ghosts conversing, and experienced other weird occurrences. The Rajasthan government actively chose to develop the village as a tourist destination in 2015. With Jindal Steel Works, the project is being carried out as a public-private partnership. A cafe, a lounge, a folk dance performance space, night stay cottages, and shops are all part of the proposal. The Davelos Cave, which is atop Mount Penteli, has an infamous reputation dating back to the 1800s when the first tales of paranormal activity began. You might understand why if you drive a few hours north of Athens city center. The cave is the entrance to a network of tunnels that run into the mountain and end at a lake in the middle. These natural structures are also associated with the mischievous god Pan. Archaeologists discover several ceramics from the mountain, many of which include the drawing of Pan and his nymphs, which point to a lengthy association between the location and the deity. These historic relics are currently on display at the Archaeological Museum in Athens for visitors. A double Byzantine church carved out of the rock is also there. The cave grew increasingly popular after a bandit allegedly hid in the tunnels with his men in the 1800s. Davelos was the name of the main bandit, so that is what the cave is called now. There have been several reports of unusual or bizarre activities in and around the cave. There are rumors of broken equipment, water that runs the opposite way, and even the strange disappearances of explorers who go inside the cave and never come out. A little handprint near the entryway adds to the mystery of the location. The cave was closed off to the public by the Greek government in the 1980s. The need to build new tunnels was cited as the justification for the action. However, the excavation abruptly came to an end, and when the site was abandoned, anti-cancer medications were discovered in the cave. Many individuals found this extremely weird and surmised that there must have been some sort of investigation or paranormal activity going on. What really transpired at Davelos Cave is a mystery. Due to its mysterious past, the place has gained a cult following, sometimes literally, with satanic cults reported to have worshipped at the site for a time. It seems improbable that any of the reported sightings or events are real, but you never know. The only way to learn is to hike to the cave and investigate it yourself. You will need to make transportation arrangements if you decide to visit the cave because no public transit goes past the Neopentelli village. The cave is currently unprotected because it lacks gates and guards. However, some residents and environmentalists are wary of tourists because there have been reports of vandalism and ritual sacrifices. About 30 kilometers north of Dunedin are the ruins of a once thriving mental hospital, the Seacliff Lunatic Asylum. The history of Seacliff starts in the mid-1800s, when Otago's population boomed, due to the influx of individuals seeking their fortune in the gold fields. Workers and their families came to Dunedin as the gold reserves began to dry up, placing stress on the city's sparse infrastructure, especially its medical services. Robert Lawson, an architect, started construction on Seacliff Lunatic Asylum in 1874. The main building was still being built 10 years later, primarily by unskilled patients already living at Seacliff. The asylum had 500 patients and 50 staff members, making it the largest structure in New Zealand at the time. The large, stunning structures and the surrounding landscape were exclusive to New Zealand. They had glasshouses, gardens, and orchards, which were all part of a newer, more rehabilitative way to treat mental illness. After only a few years in operation, Seacliff's buildings reportedly began to have structural problems that were thought to be brought on by the absence of skilled builders from the project. A landslip on the property in 1887 resulted in significant destruction. After an investigation concluded that Lawson was to blame for the poor design and construction, he was told to upgrade and repair the vulnerable structures. The controversy ruined Lawson's career. He went from one of New Zealand's most successful architects to all but unemployable. Rumors of patient mistreatment started to spread in the early 1900s. There have been allegations that patients suffered electroconvulsive therapy, lobotomies, and physical abuse. Colonel MacDonald, president of the Dunedin Returned Soldiers Association in 1921, said that World War I veterans were being locked up against their will, denied their rights, and treated badly. On December 8, 1942, a fire broke out in Ward 5, a two-story timber building housing 39 female patients in single rooms and a dormitory with 20 beds. The windows and doors of the building were all locked and could not be opened from the inside. The fire completely destroyed the building in a matter of minutes. That night there was no one on duty, but every hour a staff member would check on the patients. Before the firefighters arrived, the alarm went off, and an attempt was made to put out the fire with hoses from a tiny on-site fire station. It was, however, too little too late. Of the 39 patients, 37 perished in the fire. One of the two people who were saved was carried outside when the staff member who initially saw the fire removed the window grating. The other sufferer had to be dragged from the first floor for rescue. While the firefighters could not prevent the fire from burning Ward 5, they successfully prevented it from spreading to nearby Seacliff buildings. The Seacliff fire was New Zealand's deadliest single incident at the time. The Seacliff, which continued to accommodate and care for patients, seems to have undergone minor improvements after the deadly fire. Meanwhile, rumors of patient mistreatment have grown extremely serious. Following the fire, Seacliff started relocating its operations and patients to Cherry Farm Hospital, located 7 kilometers to the north. Seacliff formally shut down in 1973, and the structures and grounds were left untouched. Explorers in the area frequently claimed to see spirits on the hospital's grounds after it closed. According to Andrew Smith, who runs Hair Razor Ghost Tours in Dunedin, Seacliff is still one of the spookiest places he's been. Whether it's day or night, there's a strange vibe there. It is not open to the public, which adds to the mystery. Today, not much remains of the Seacliff Lunatic Asylum site. A few structures are still standing, although they are on privately held land and are inaccessible.